Humanity faces a plethora of existential environmental challenges, including resource depletion, ecosystem service deterioration, pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change. Environmental problems are the products of complex, often nonlinear interactions between people and the environment. Our understanding of these interactions is frequently incomplete and clouded by profound uncertainties. These problems cannot be managed solely in terms of simple cause and effect relationships. They involve multiple actors, vary across time and space, and often exhibit long time lags between human actions and their environmental consequences. Human health and well-being, for example, are closely linked to the integrity of local, regional, and global ecosystems. Yet both human societies and ecosystems are increasingly at risk due to pollution and resource depletion. Because of their inherent complexity, environmental problems are often poorly communicated and frequently misunderstood by the public, the media, and policymakers. The interdependencies between humans and the environment mean that addressing environmental challenges requires fundamental changes in attitudes and behaviors by governments, industry, and individual citizens. Although most people acknowledge that sustainability is an important issue, many remain unresponsive, are slow to act, do not fully understand the underlying problems, or even deny environmental imperatives. This creates substantial social and psychological barriers to effective action. Surveys conducted across 33 countries between 1993 and 2010 revealed increasing levels of environmental apathy. On average, respondents ranked the economy as their greatest concern, 25%, followed by healthcare, 22.2%, education, 15.6%, poverty, 11.6%, crime, 8.6%, the environment, 4.7%, immigration, 4.1%, and terrorism, 2.6%. Environmental issues ranked first in none of the countries surveyed. Given that government action to protect the environment has historically been driven by widespread public demand, this growing public inertia raises concerns that action to manage potentially existential environmental risks may come too late. Governments seek to address environmental challenges by using policies, legislation, regulation, and taxation to influence behavior. Decision makers increasingly aspire to evidence-based policymaking, creating a strong imperative to systematize the generation, transfer, and application of knowledge. Over the past 3 decades, evidence-based decision-making has become synonymous with good governance. In the United Kingdom, for example, governments have promoted evidence-based policy as an alternative to ideologically driven policymaking. However, its implementation has also highlighted the challenges of dealing with environmental uncertainty and the need for greater transparency throughout the decision-making process. Environmental uncertainty, combined with declining trust in governments and scientific institutions, has significantly influenced public perceptions and willingness to support environmental action. It has become increasingly difficult for the public to understand or verify the evidence underpinning public policies, including how that evidence was generated, evaluated, and synthesized. These trends have further intensified public concerns about the role of science in society. Paradoxically, this decline in public confidence has occurred at a time when scientific knowledge is expanding at an unprecedented rate, and our understanding of the natural world has never been greater, even though it remains incomplete. Despite this progress, public scientific literacy is widely perceived to be in decline, with many people becoming less engaged with science and technology. Consequently, science is increasingly viewed as just another authority attempting to tell people what to believe and how to behave. This perception has coincided with, and perhaps contributed to, a broader societal backlash against established institutions and authority. The Edelman Trust Barometer has measured public trust in business, government, the media, and non-governmental organizations annually for more than 17 years. Its 2017 survey of 33,000 people across 28 countries found for the first time a decline in trust across all 4 institutions. In almost 2/3 of the countries surveyed, fewer than half of respondents believed that these institutions would do what is right. Environmental scientists have also expressed concerns about having little control over how their research findings are used. Scientific evidence is often employed as political ammunition to support predetermined positions or advance particular interests. Public discourse has become increasingly distrustful of environmental science, raising an important question. Does this reflect a rejection of science itself, or rather an erosion of trust in the ways scientific knowledge is applied? Although the relationship between science and technology has never been stronger, they remain distinct domains with different purposes, priorities, and ways of understanding the world. Their relationship is therefore both close and inherently complex. This paper examines the principal differences between environmental science and environmental technology, reviews how the broader convergence of science and technology has influenced these fields, and evaluates the implications of this convergence for society's ability to respond effectively to sustainability challenges.
We question whether the convergence between environmental science and environmental technology, between the process of generating knowledge and that of applying it to deliver change, could be behind the growing public dissatisfaction and distrust of environmental science and policies, and propose a new perspective that distinguishes the roles of science, technology and society in surviving existential environmental challenges.
Science is about discovering, understanding, explaining and predicting patterns in natural phenomena, producing more accurate explanations of how the natural world works, regardless of potential applications. It is the result of deep curiosity, and its goal is the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake. For the most part, science uses quantifiable inquiry that often involves testing researchable hypotheses, usually by means of a progressive research program, with data and experiments. In doing so, it may overturn networks of belief. Falsifiability is a virtue in a scientific theory, and science could be seen simply as an accepted process for establishing truth through repeatable observation and experimentation. This careful, rational, self-critical method of discovering knowledge provides a pathway to escape the contingencies of history. Humanity historically has applied scientific knowledge to solve problems, take decisions and reach today's level of development. Although today technology has come often to mean only the development and use of tools, techniques and machinery, here we refer to the broader process of the organization of knowledge applied to further the efforts of human practices, the application of knowledge, inventing and changing the world. Tensions around the public role of science arise partly from the belief that the cultural credibility of expertise rests on communicating in terms of consensus. But while in science new knowledge is expected to challenge current consensus, the public sees scientific credibility strained. Science's potential to empower lies in participatory practices that encourage shared knowledge, collaboration and shared ownership. The relationship between science and the public does not need to be one of blind trust. Scientists are not and should not be seen as modern priests, experts who pronounce on all manner of things with scientific knowledge as the ultimate authority. Contrary to popular depictions of science, science does not rely on authority as an indicator of truth. Results should always be subject to challenge from experiment. Science is liberating if it produces knowledge that empowers people to challenge dogma and beliefs. Policy making requires public participation and engagement. For this, the public needs to be able to understand, be informed and be given access to all the evidence. Messages of apocalyptic peril and emotional appeals might be effective in addressing public apathy and inspiring change, but could also engender distrust or disenchantment, and deliver short-lived results.
So science has a critical role, empowering the public to not simply accept, but to understand and engage in the process of change.
Science is often seen as a difficult subject, and yes, it is, because it's detailed, meticulous, and demands the highest possible accuracy. But those qualities also make it very easy to check. There's a mechanism for documenting facts that has survived for 200 years and has given us all the technological achievements we enjoy today.
Some extreme skeptics decide what to think first and then cherry-pick the data to support their case. We scientists have to acknowledge we now operate in a world where point of view, not peer review, holds sway.
The goal here is not to make everybody a scientist. That's not the goal. What a boring world that would be. You want artists, you want musicians, you want novelists, poets. You want the rest of this. What matters is whether they're scientifically literate and maintain that literacy and that curiosity throughout their lives, no matter what becomes their profession. Most important feature is the analysis of information that comes your way. How to interpret information that comes to you. How to think about what somebody says. How to judge what it is that someone else says. Judge the likelihood of it being correct or not. No longer can you invoke common sense to judge whether or not that's accurate, whether or not it's true. Because all that matters is that it's measured to be true. Period. How do you look at the world? What does the world look like through your lens? If you're scientifically literate, the world looks very different to you. It's not just a lot of mysterious things happening. There's a lot we understand out there. And that understanding empowers you to first not be taken advantage of by others who do understand it. And second, there are issues that confront society that have science as their foundation. That influences your health, your safety, how you're going to have to vote, what issues are before you politically. If you're not scientifically literate, it's in a way you are disenfranchising yourself from the democratic process, and you don't even know.